This is video number 1 for bass players, and in this video you are going to learn how to put up your music stand, you're going to learn how to take your instrument out of the case, and you will learn the parts of the instrument. Now it's very necessary that we learn the parts of the instrument because I'm going to need to be able to communicate with you, and I might say, move your hand closer to the bridge, move your hand towards the scroll, move your bow towards the fingerboard, and things like that, and you need to know what those items are, what those parts of the instrument are. Okay, so the very first thing, so for this lesson, you're going to need your music stand, you'll need your Essential Elements Book 1, and you will need your instrument, of course, okay? First thing I want you to do is find your music stand. Now, your music stand might be in a rectangular box, and inside it, it might then also be in a bag. Music stands are different. There are different brands. The one I'm going to show you how to put up is actually what I think is the most difficult one to put up, the one that's the most complicated. If you feel like you really know how to do this, please feel free to fast forward through this video to the part where we are putting the book on the stand and talking about the parts of the instrument, okay? So I've taken my music stand out of the bag, and if it's silver, it's very likely in 2 or possibly even 3 different pieces. If it's black, it's probably in 1 piece, similar to this, okay? Now, this works just like a tripod. I'm going to move in kind of close here so that you can see. Down here are the legs, and they are held tight by these screws right here. So, to move it, I need to loosen the screw just a little bit. Lefty-loosey, but just about that much. If you loosen it too much, you are probably going to end up, the screw's going to fall out, and then it's kind of a problem for you. You have to get mom or dad to help you put that back in. So just like half a turn or fourth of a turn, just enough to where you can move and open the legs. Now make sure that the legs of the tripod here are nice and wide. If you put it too narrow, it's gonna fall over. And we don't want the music stand falling on either you or your instrument, okay? So put it nice and wide. Once you get it about that width, then tighten that screw back up and go to the next one. I'm gonna loosen it just a little, like there, maybe a half a turn, probably half a turn. And for me, I'm going to put my music stand as tall as it will go. Now, most of them will have 2 little bars like this. Most music stands will have 2 little bars like this. So, I've got it the height, as high as it'll go. I'm gonna tighten it back up, okay? So it's not gonna fall down. Same thing here, loosen, about half a turn. I'm gonna pull it up all the way that I can. When I get there, tighten it back up. Now I can set it on the floor. Now once again, I'm gonna come in close. You're not gonna be able to see my face here. So this part right here is the part that the music will sit on. So we have to flip it around. This particular one, like I said, is the most difficult. The way this works is you push this side in like a button, and then it allows this to move freely. Okay, now I will tell you, you have to have a decent amount of strength. I use my thumb. You might need to have mom or dad help you with this because it does take a decent amount of strength right here, maybe an older brother or sister. So push in. While you're pushing in, you turn. You can't push and then turn because when you let go, it locks it. So we don't want it to be straight up and down like this because the book will fall off. We want it to be angled slightly backwards, just like that. Okay, and that's going to be true of any of the kind of music stands that you have. Now, this is where people tend to mess up. I want you to notice there's a fat bar here and there's some skinny bars up here. Whenever we open this, I want you to pull by the fat bar right here, the thick one. Okay, if you pull by the skinny one, you might get things tangled up. I'm going to turn it to face me now and show you. When I pull by the thick bars here, there we go, and now we're good. Now, when you're closing things up, do the same thing. Make sure you're using the thick bar, not the skinny ones. Yes, it's possible, but I will tell you when people mess with these, they end up getting things tangled up. So always use these and you should be fine. Notice one other thing, when I put it up, these little parts go in. They don't go up like that. That's gonna get things tangled up. So it should go in when you close it up. All right, so now have it flat out, so like you're ready to use it. I'm gonna put it off to the side. Now I want you to take your book. Now, if you're one of my students, you were asked to get book 1, 2, and 3. of essential elements for strings. Now it should look like this, all right? But I want to show you something up at the front, up at the top. So right here it should be orange, okay? This is for book 1. Book 2 is purple, book 3 is green. We want book 1. And then make sure it says double bass right here. If it says cello or violin or viola, you might be able to do this first video and maybe the second, but definitely not like the third, fourth, or any video beyond that. So make sure you get the correct book. Now, for most of you, this is probably a brand new book. So when we put a brand new book and open it up on the stand, a lot of times it closes itself back up or falls off the stand. So what I want you to do is find where it opens naturally, okay? It's probably page 24, I believe, right where we have the staples. And I want you to fold it backwards and then crease it. Just crease it a couple of times. Do that a couple places in the book. And then find page 2, crease it backwards, and then set it on the stand. Page 2 is what we are doing today. This has the parts of the instrument. So once, if you need more time, pause the video, because we're about to start taking the instrument out of the case. Join me again when you have your music stand set up and your book is open to page 2. All right? Now, we're about to take our instrument out of the case, but before we can do that, I need to teach you one part of the instrument, okay? Because I'm going to have you hold by that particular part of the instrument. So look on page 2 at the 6th thing down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It says neck. I'm going to use this viola to show you what a neck is because, well, it's smaller, we can see. I am holding the viola by the neck right now. The neck is this area right in here, right back there, okay? That is the neck of the instrument. We're going to use the neck to take the instrument out of the case. You don't want to be grabbing by other parts because things could come unglued, things could fall apart, things could go bad. Holding it back by the neck will ensure that your instrument is safe. Now, I want you to notice how I have this instrument laying. I have it on its side right now. That's how you should store your instrument when you're not using it, okay? You're going to notice that's the safest way for you to store it, is on its side inside the case. You're going to notice there are zippers on either side. One side has a short zipper that goes only to here, and the other side has a really long zipper that goes all the way up the top. Okay? What I would suggest that you do, have it on the side with the short zipper up first, okay? And then unzip that side. Unzip that side first, the short zipper first. Now we're going to roll it to the other side. Very carefully roll it to the other side. Okay, make sure you have some room to wiggle around up there. And now we're going to unzip the long zipper all the way up. Now the case is probably starting to just fall off. Good, great, yay, now we can see our instrument. And now we can see the neck. So with whichever hand you choose, grab it by the neck, shake this off, shake the case off, grab by the corner here, and then put it up. Now, you're going to kind of wiggle it around so you can get the case off. You might have to lift it up slightly off the ground, and then take the top off, okay? I would recommend taking the top off last. That's just what works best for me. Now, at this point in the video, you might have to pause it and take some time. When you're first starting this, it does take a while to get the case off. Completely normal, okay? But one of the things I recommend is waiting to the last part to get the top off. Wiggle it all around and get it free, holding it by the neck, and then you can just pull that off. And when you're putting the case back on, do the opposite. Put the top on first, wiggle it around to fit the base, zip the long zipper, then lay it down, zip the short zipper, okay? That will help. And as you do this more, you're gonna get much better. You're gonna get really quick at taking your bass in and out of the case, but give yourself some time. So at this point, if you have not gotten your bass with how I have, you don't have your music stand set up and you're open to page 2, please pause the video, get those things done, and then join us. Now, we're gonna go over the parts of the instrument from the top to the bottom. So looking at page 2, the very first thing you see is the scroll. The scroll is this top part right here, okay? The scroll doesn't really do anything other than look pretty. They had to finish the instrument off some way, so they decided to make it look nice. This is the scroll. This is the very top of the instrument. The next thing down, in your book it says machine head, and then it says in parentheses tuning mechanism. I'm going to tell you right now that this is more often referred to as pegs than anything, and they're not officially pegs because they are different than pegs. Pegs is something that the violin, viola, and cellos have, and I will show you on a viola what they look like. Theirs stick outwards. The pegs are used to tune the instrument, okay? They also have something else called fine tuners. You guys don't have that. What you have is, because they're not officially pegs, they're still referred to by a lot of people as pegs, and you'll hear me call them pegs. What you have is a combination of pegs and fine tuners in this one thing right here that called the tuning mechanism, okay? These right here. Now there is one for each string. We will learn to use those to learn how to tune each string, okay? So you're going to hear me call them pegs and or tuning mechanism. The pegs or tuning mechanism go inside the next thing on your list, which is the peg box. That's this little area right here, okay? Now the next thing on your list, it's a little bit difficult to see. It's called the nut, and it is a black piece of wood. Now you see this big long black piece of wood. That is not the nut. The one that goes this direction, right here, it's about that wide. It's right there at the top, and it holds the strings up on this end. This is called the nut right here, okay? So again, I'll back up a little bit. Back up a lot to see this whole instrument. We have scroll, pegs or tuning mechanism, peg box, nut, the one that goes this direction. Our next thing down is the fingerboard. Now this will be easy to remember because when we start putting fingers down, we put our fingers down on this black piece of wood. That's called the fingerboard. The next thing on your list is the neck. We've already learned that. That is the area from here to here. This is the neck of the instrument. Next on your list is the upper bout. The book only points to one side, but this on either side is the upper bout. Just below the upper bout, this is going to make sense to you, is the C bout, this right here. This area right here, C bout, right here. And yes, this down here is called the lower bout. It's not listed on your book because people don't really talk about that part of the instrument much, but it does exist. So we have upper bout and C bout. The next one down is called the F holes. These right here, these holes right here are the F holes. See that right there? Right next to the C bout, okay? What the F holes do is they allow the sound to come out of your instrument. This hollow area in your instrument, what happens when you pluck a string, when you play a string, the string vibrates, all of the parts of the instrument vibrate. The vibrations are amplified in this hollow part. It acts as a natural amplifier, and the F holes allow the sound to come out. They kind of act like speakers for your instrument, okay, in a way. The next part down, it holds up the strings on the other end. So we have the nut holding it up here, and this piece of wood right here is called the bridge. It holds up the strings on the other end. Now, for the next one on the list called the sound post, you might need to actually lay your instrument back down, maybe flat. Flat is not the best way to do this. It'd be best if you could just look inside this F hole, the one on this side, and you're going to see it's pretty big. There's a stick that's about this thick, okay, it's about that thick, and it goes this direction like this, and it's wood colored. If you're seeing a silver one coming up this way, that's something else, okay? There's a stick inside there that goes from this direction to this direction, and it's just right around where the foot of the bridge is, just inside the F hole. It's not supposed to be in the center. It's supposed to be on the side like that, and it goes from top to back, okay? That is called the sound post. That helps more parts of the instrument vibrate. The next piece down is this black piece of wood here. This is called the tailpiece, all of this right here. And then finally we have the end pin. Now the end pin will adjust the height. I'm going to put this on its side and kind of show you how the end pin works. It works like the music stand did with the loosening the screw and pulling it out. Remember, just like with the music stand, don't unscrew it the whole way. Just maybe one whole turn on this. Let's see. Yeah, probably one turn is enough. Just enough to make it loose enough to where you can adjust it. For me, the height for me is about there. And then, so this is the end pin right here, okay? For today, after you've done this video, I want you to go back and review all of the parts of the instrument, maybe cover up the names of it in your book and kind of quiz yourself, because it's very important that you learn these very quickly so that in the next video, when we learn how to hold the instrument, and I say, okay, make sure your fingerboard is leaned towards your face, things like that, the scroll is up by your ear, above your ear, those kinds of things, you know what I'm talking about. So learn the parts of your instrument from scroll all the way to the end pin. And then in the next video, we will actually learn how to hold this and how to adjust the end pin to the proper height.